All right, this explainer is specifically for the team at John F. Hunt. We get it. In your world, every major project is a multi-million-pound decision. You're constantly balancing just immense complexity with some pretty significant risk. So we're here to talk about a new foundation for making those critical decisions, but with a lot more confidence and speed. We wanted to start with your own words because they just perfectly capture the mission, don't they? You take on the absolute toughest challenges, these huge, complex liabilities, and through incredible expertise, you create value. That ability is really at the core of everything we're about to dive into. Every single regeneration project you tackle is its own universe of complexity. Your teams have to synthesize this enormous number of variables, constraints, and risks. So to make this a bit more tangible, let's look at a project we know you're particularly proud of. And look, this slide, it really only scratches the surface of the Sugar House Island project. Your team wasn't just dealing with one of these issues in a vacuum, you were juggling all of them all at once. You had a heavy industrial legacy, deep contamination, a massive and totally unexpected asbestos discovery, and a master plan that required a 4-meter change in site levels. And you did all of that while navigating some pretty strict regulatory oversight. So this brings us to the crucial point. Your team's ability to navigate this kind of insane complexity, well, that's your competitive advantage. But the process of turning that deep, tacit knowledge into a defensible, profitable, and winning bid for the next project, that is a point of huge and often invisible risk. We actually have a name for this. We call it the decision gap. It's that space between having all the raw data and the expert knowledge in-house and having a structured, defensible rationale for a really high-stakes decision. And this gap exists because, frankly, the tools you rely on every day just were not built for this level of interconnected complexity. I mean, think about it. Dashboards, they show you metrics, but they don't show you the dependencies between them. Spreadsheets are powerful, for sure, but their core logic is often buried in formulas that, let's be honest, no one remembers 6 months later. Consultancy reports, they're just static snapshots in time. And even modern AI, it's great at finding information, but it doesn't stabilize the reasoning. What you actually need is a system that makes the relationships between site data, regulations, costs, and carbon explicit and totally defensible. The result of this tool gap is a bidding process that's, well, slower and riskier than it needs to be. Key knowledge just walks out the door when an expert retires. And justifying every single trade-off to a client becomes this manual, incredibly time-consuming effort. That institutional learning stays trapped instead of becoming the strategic asset it should be. And this is exactly why we built Planetary Intelligence. It's not another dashboard. It's not a better search tool. It's a system designed specifically to close that decision gap, creating a brand new foundation for reasoning through complexity. We call this decision intelligence. Now, the key part of this definition, especially for your work, is right at the end, explained and defended over time. Every bid you submit is this complex web of trade-offs and assumptions. This is all about making that entire reasoning process transparent, inspectable, and just fundamentally more defensible. This really illustrates a fundamental shift in approach. With Planetary Intelligence, the structured, connected context of a project isn't some side effect of a search query. It actually becomes the core product itself, a strategic asset that you can build, you can refine, and you can reuse. So how does it actually work? Well, Planetary Intelligence builds this context by creating 2 interlocking layers, which basically formalize the knowledge your teams are already using every single day. The first layer is your unique reality. It's that invaluable, hard-won knowledge from every project your team has ever completed. Imagine for a second if every lesson learned from Sugar House Island wasn't just a memory or a line in a case study, but a reusable, queryable piece of a knowledge graph that actually informs your next bid. Then there's the second layer. This is the shared reality that you operate in. It's basically a library of external frameworks. So think of things like PFAS regulations, BREEAM requirements, or standard soil remediation typologies. Instead of having to re-research and reinterpret all of this for every single bid, you connect your own organizational knowledge directly to this durable, foundational context. Okay, so let's see how this all comes together to build a winning strategy from just raw data. We're going to walk through how this new foundation completely transforms your RFP response process. So in Planetary Intelligence, AI agents perform very specific bounded tasks. First, context agents go out and assemble all the relevant data, linking site reports to the correct regulations.
Then, synthesis agents start to model different strategies, like what if we use this remediation technique versus that one? After that, analysis agents run the numbers, explicitly charting out the trade-offs between cost, carbon, and time for each option. And, this is crucial, gap agents act like built-in skeptics, flagging weak assumptions or missing data before the bid ever leaves your office. The result? It's a total transformation of your bidding process. Manual data synthesis becomes automated context assembly. Tacit knowledge becomes an explicit, reusable asset. Risk assessment shifts from being reactive to proactive. And maybe most importantly, every single trade-off becomes inspectable, which makes your proposals radically more defensible. Now, this all sounds powerful in theory, but the real test is quantifying the impact on one of your live projects. And that's exactly why we propose a pilot. At Sugar House Island, your team's absolutely brilliant adaptation of the remedial design saved 5,300 lorry movements. I mean, that is a massive cost and carbon saving, and it was achieved through deep expertise in real ingenuity. So the question is, how many more opportunities just like that are hidden across all your projects? How do you make that level of insight systematic and repeatable, unlocking it for every bid, every single time? A pilot with Planetary Intelligence would let you de-risk a live, high-stakes bid. We'd work with your team to codify their expertise into a durable asset, quantify the exact savings in time, cost, and carbon, and build a foundational intelligence layer you can leverage on all future projects. Ultimately, this optimizes your win rate with powerfully defensible proposals. So we'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Right now, every bid is a massive investment of time and resources. What if, instead of just being a one-off cost, your next bid became your most powerful, reusable asset? We believe this shift is possible, and we would welcome the chance to show you how. Let's explore what a pilot could look like for John F. Hunt.